Guys, it's Wok Wednesday, it's January, and we've had loads of requests over the last year to make some of our dishes vegan or the vegan versions of it. So we've taken our classics, the most popular dishes, made the vegan versions for them, mainly for our friend Chris, one of our camera guys. And here's one of our classics, except it is vegan and it is sweet and sour cauliflower. Now the actual cauliflower I'm going to cook, and I'm going to make up a almost like fish and chip style batter, which I'll touch on in a bit. But before that, I'm just going to prep my onion and pepper and base ingredients for the last bit of just finishing off the sweet and sour. You know, much like anything, really simple, sort of large dices of onion and pepper. That can just go onto my wok clock plate here. I won't use the whole pepper, probably just about half of that pepper. I'm actually going to use the cauliflower leaves as well, and I'll toss those through just to add a bit of texture and a bit more crunch and some colour to the dish. A lot of people don't realise, but it's absolutely fine to eat cauliflower leaves. The outer ones might be a little bit more bitter and quite tough, but the inside leaves, these sort of younger leaves, have a really nice natural sweetness to them. You don't need excessive amounts, but they are nice to use. So I'm going to cut those in similar sort of bite-sized chunks. They taste a little bit like Brussels sprouts actually, but we're past Christmas, that's okay. Right. Cauliflower leaves. Sweet and sour is all about texture, so you don't want to overcook your cauliflower, and that batter around the outside of it will help to protect the cauliflower and keep it nice and sort of not crunchy per se, but not get too soft and bitter almost in flavour. So I'm just going to take the stem off first, and what you want to do with this is take a wedge out from the cauliflower and then almost cut it in quarter, but then just tear the rest off. So the florets of cauliflower, you just want to pick off, and I quite like it to be nice, big, chunky bits of cauliflower. Don't waste the stem. Next up, the batter. As I say, very similar to a fish and chips batter this. So you don't want it too thin, not sort of that tempura sort of thin single cream. Slightly thicker than single cream is what I'm going for. I've got some plain flour and a little bit of baking powder in here. And then a sort of 3 or 4 spoons of corn flour to make it really nice and crispy. Give that a good mix. We're going to season the flour quite heavily. So a good bit of sea salt and some cracked black pepper. And then I've got some beer here, but anything fizzy works. So you can use soda water if you'd rather not use alcohol. You're going for just between a sort of single and double cream texture. You want to do this sort of not too early on. You can't have your batter sitting there for too long before you use it. That just allows the bubbles to work and make sure that the batter is still light enough to have that crisp, but not be too greasy and heavy. So you're looking for this sort of dripping consistency. I'm going to use that pretty much straight away, and you can take your cauliflower and then just place handfuls of your cauliflower into your batter. Make sure they get well covered. But that consistency is really important, because what you're looking for is when you pick up your piece of cauliflower that it's covered all the way round, but it's not this like thick ball of dough. Those guys are ready to deep fry. Now, I cover this a lot when we're deep frying, but if you're deep frying in a wok, the beauty of it is its surface area. It gives you more space to fry more food. It's really important though that you don't overload your oil with too much at a time. So you can see I'm just checking the oil here with my wooden chopsticks, and anything wooden, if it fizzes up like this, is at a good temperature, about 170 to 180 degrees C. That is perfect for deep frying. Now I'm going to go spoon by spoon, carefully laying my cauliflower into here so that they cook nice and separately, don't stick to each other. The more ingredients you add to the oil, the more the oil will cool down. I'm going to do this in 2 batches just so that I don't cool the oil down too quickly. Just keeping both batches really nice and crispy. Separate those out. And these bits here, allow them to crisp up as well. Don't waste them, because we can use those to garnish. If you mix those with a little bit of crispy fried onions or crispy garlic, it works an absolute treat. Let this bubble up, and you want your cauliflower to go really nice and crispy around the edge, because we're going to toss them into the sweet and sour sauce at the end. I'm on a medium heat here, not too high, just so that that cauliflower can actually cook through. So unlike sort of smaller chunks of meat when you're deep frying, you want your cauliflower to sort of cook through and be steaming hot inside, but really nice and crispy on the outer edge. So they're all nice and golden brown now. Time to get out of the wok. So now that the cauliflower has been deep fried, I'm just going to quickly make up the sweet and sour sauce. It's the same amount of sugar, ketchup and vinegar with a little bit of dark soy. That's about 6 spoons of ketchup. This is by no means a healthy dish. Cooking vegan food does not always mean healthy. So, you know, but it is a classic, just done slightly differently, and I'll show you that now. I want to keep the cauliflower really nice and crispy. So I'm going to cook the cauliflower almost like I would a salt and pepper cauliflower or salt and pepper tofu or whatever it is that you're making. We're just going to toss it through in the wok with salt, pepper and a base of these veg. And then we're going to caramelize this sweet and sour sauce over the rest of the veg and pour that over the top. Just a dash of dark soy. And that's my sweet and sour sauce that will get nice and sticky for last minute pouring. So this is quick wok action from here. High heat, take a little bit of oil, swirl that around. And then I'm going to take some of your onion and pepper and your cauliflower leaves, just leaving a little bit for the sauce. Flick that through. And although I've got salt and pepper in the actual batter already, the actual cauliflower is sort of naturally quite sweet. So we're going to season these veg and the crispy cauliflower with a bit more salt and pepper. You want to get a nice sort of slight charring on this veg before you add your crispy cauliflower to the wok. So I'm just going to lay salt and pepper into the veg. My cauliflower chunks straight over the top, and then toss that through, and then that seasoning will just coat that crispy cauliflower. I'm going to serve this straight up, ready for my sweet and sour sauce. Lovely colour that. Last finishing touches, a little drizzle of oil. Smoking hot the rest of your veg goes in. Again, char those before I add any sauce. But when the sauce goes in, you want it to bubble up almost immediately. Nice and smoking hot wok. And then you're going to pour your sauce around the edge of that wok. You want enough sauce for this to pour over the whole plate of crispy cauliflower. Bring that to a nice vigorous boil. Don't forget, I've got my naughty finishing touches, and that's my crispy shallots and scraps, apparently, Lee says. We all know what Lee says is right. So, give that a stir through. You want it bubbling all the way through, but you do need to stir it a couple of times just so that it heats through evenly. Some coriander as well for the garnish, and that's just for later on. You can scatter that all over the top. Now that that's bubbling all the way through, I know that that's going to be perfectly caramelized. So you're going to take your sauce and pour it right over the top. Keeping the cauliflower nice and crispy, but getting that sweet and sour covered all over. My scraps mixed with coriander leaves and crispy shallots right over the top of that, just to add more texture and savoury flavour. Whoa! Now who wouldn't want to tuck into that? Traditional taste of the sweet and sour, crispiness of the cauliflower, but also the crunch from the cauliflower leaves, for me, really adds something. You see that rounded balance? Balance is really important in all types of Asian cuisine. So guys, if you want to learn more about learning how to get that perfect balance in your Asian cooking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, School of Wok, and like all of our social media.